Hello and welcome back to Masquerade Songs and Shadows. So last time we met up with Tristan here and we're heading into... Where are we heading into? Guess we'll find out. The Pale Isle Ground. So the best... I had to actually go through that little bit again prior to this. The best part to basically stopping here would have been made more sense because it auto-saves at that point. So basically going through a point there is probably the best point to auto-save. Let us wander around. There's not much to do when you wander around. You can find like little information things. So they should add more, I don't know, more stuff to do because you're just kind of wasting time clicking, you know, with the inability to do anything while you're clicking. Let's go here.
Would you look at that?
Huh. Elysian stuff.
Elysia, the land of the greatest philosophers. Elysia was the first country from across the belt to trade with Ombre. It was Elysia's influence over the early settlers of Ombre that nourished a sect within the registry known as the Wielders, the scholars of the city. Elysians pride themselves on their philosophical pursuits, though that seems to have distanced them from none of the avarice that Ombre tends to inspire. Whatever the case, the city is, and will continue to be, welcoming to the Elysians' interest in the city, for Elysia is the country that provides Ombre with blood poppy, a flower that yields brilliant crimson dye, with a richness found nowhere else.
I'd have expected the war to curb trade a little.
It did. For about 3 months, until the countries across the belt realized how much they missed our work.
And so they decide to send their traders to a country steeped in civil war.
It isn't that bad. The bloodiest sons have all set. We're just cleaning up what's left of it.
I want it!
We don't care. You're at least a
it.
week away from another rotation.
I'm the best firebrand here, and you know it.
Get lost, Travis. You know there's no way you're going to get it.
Were they arguing over a masquerine? Aren't there enough to go around?
The war. Ever since your brother gave out all those mascherines to the mask runners, the death toll on both sides has been great.
And you've been losing masquerines.
So long as they sit upon a dying face, to the dust they go. And now, the city is running out of them. Everyone's feeling it. The guilds, the mask runners, the registry. The Vegelus even suspect that in the next 50 years or so, there'll be fewer than 100 mascherines left.
But there were thousands before. Surely 5 years.
5 years have crippled this country, Cicero. I am sorry. That did not come out as smoothly as I had intended.
You're tired. I understand.
You would, wouldn't you? Well, let's not keep a Vestus waiting.
Masquerines. If there were one thing that defined Ombre, it would be the Masquerada, or its artistic landscape, or even the mountain. It would not be the Masquerada or the artistic landscape, or even the mountain under which it hides. It would be the Masquerines, masks of magic that grant their wearers the ability to harness the elements with efficiency. The Masquerines are the distinguishing element that separates the country from the rest of the world that surrounds it. When the first came to the lands of Ombre, the Masquerines were already there, and in the early ages of Ombre's history, they were feared. The effects that using Masquerines had on their wearers was not completely understood, and neither was the act of using them. People regarded the Masquerines with apprehensions, for it did not comprehend the mechanics behind the powers. Even till modernity, there were remnants of that apprehension, though society has mostly gotten over their fears, having been spurred forward to embrace the Masquerines for the power of the promise. This power the Masquerines hold has been ever more valued in recent years, especially considering their disappointing nature. Masquerines inexplicably vanish should they be worn upon the face of a dying being. Again, the reasons behind this death rattle are just as shrouded in mystery as the origins of the Masquerines themselves, but have rendered the artifacts a quickly disappearing commodity. Let us continue. The White Spire Courtyard. The media. The media are methods practiced by the Masquerada to better harness the powers of Mascherines. How the media help in the wielding of this power has yet to be fully understood, but it has been determined that through the practice of certain forms of craft, the Masquerada gains ability to channel their powers with more finesse and precision. The elements bend more precisely to the will of the Masquerada, well practiced in media. There are, to this day, 7 known media, 6 of which have been classified into pairs. There prevails the belief that according to the patterns of the media, there must exist an 8th as well, though the Vegulists have been unable to ascertain either its presence or its nature. Various media in their pairs are the Fischia, Medanza, and Merbusto, the Visivia, Meliere and Messenaire, the Eteria, Mercantile and Mermento, and Messinzia, that currently exists alone. Now let's wander around a little bit. Here at something here.
What are they up to?
You don't recognize it. That's Gavar's Caprice. I'm surprised it took you so long to spot it.
It's taken me a long time just to get into where I need to go. The White Spire. The White Spire. Sitting at the highest point of the city, the White Spire has a view that covers all of its charge. It's the pinnacle of the Registry's authority, the embodiment of its role as guardian and caretaker of Ombre. Certainly there are many in this day that disagree with the Registry's methods and dispute their efficacy. But the fact remains that the Registry stands to watch over us all. Built upon the ancient ruins of some long-forgotten tower, the White Spire was constructed in a matter of days, record time, even with the help of Earth brands. The construction of the spire served not only to establish quickly a base of operations for the Registry, but to remind citizens that it governed. It had the capability and power and was willing to use it to perform such a feat. Dun, 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 dun. Let's wander a little bit. I don't think we're going to find much, but... I think we want to go back down. Oh, hello, kitty. Now go back over here. The Registry. Once we had been called heretics, we were cast out of our lands, deracinated, labeled traitors and blasphemers. We were the other, the alien, the outcast. Yet, we were but individuals. We were of many, but were of no banner. We had myriad of voices, but no clarion to lead us. We were scattered and we walked blinded by a foul light. But now we have begun to weave the tapestry that will bind us. Begun to cultivate the soils that are to serve as the base of our civilization. A new civilization that will rip the yokes of our heritage off our backs and bury them underfoot. We are a new people of a new nation now, and we will relish this freedom with guiltless ecstasy. We are our own leaders. Our laws will be fashioned under the hammers of our wills and not by divine words. Our mores will be shaped by sophists and sages, and not by priests and prophets. We are united now. We are a people. An excerpt from the speech delivered by the very first pharaoh, Omus Phrygus, at the founding of the Registry during the 10th Mesura of the First Canticle.
So, any idea why the old man wants to see me?
Not a very solid one. One of the Regenti has gone missing. And these walls should not be privy to this conversation.
I need to leave a little early. Let's keep going. Little conversations going on. The White Spire, upper hallway. I remember being here in the prologue. Okay. Can we go over here? No.
we are.
Tell me he's changed, at least a little.
Have fun finding out.
Varro's office.
In all the 20 years that I have spent perched upon the spire, not once have I seen my city so broken.
Tristan was telling me the war's almost over.
Over? When does a war end? When the trumpets of peace sound? When the mask runners are dead in the gutter? No. It ends when it ceases to echo through every street, or shadow every face. It is over when the halls that it has emptied fill once again. This war is far from over. I trust the past 5 years have treated you well?
They've been kind.
Kind. Is that what you call those years you spent throwing all your coin at barkeeps, fleeing the grip of sobriety?
How?
The Cavalli Fields may be located across the belt, but it's still within the registry's vigil.
And so is plagued by old rats. Why am I here?
The answer is all around you. You've been to the docks. You've walked through the grounds. How many portieri enjoy the company of Mascherines?
Tristan told me. The city's losing too many of them.
We must learn the secrets of the Mascherines. Learn how to stop them from disintegrating upon their wearer's death.
This is a job better suited for the Vigilist.
Widen your mind, Cicero. You think I called you here to bury your nose in dusty tomes?
Yes.
You are not the first that I've spoken to of these matters. A regente of mine was tasked 3 months ago to explore the annals we have on Mascherines. You are here to find him.
How long's he been missing?
He missed sending in his last report due 20 days ago.
And you've sent no one else?
Ophina and Corvus were sent to investigate.
What did they find?
That their songs were shorter than they expected.
Both of them?
Ophina was found hanging in her room, hands tied, wrists slit. Corvus's body was not so fortunate. Whoever it was had resources, wit, knowledge, finesse. It's a pity the two before you managed to find nothing apart from their own deaths.
So you called me back to feed me to the dogs?
No, I called you back to find my regente. If the canines come at you while you're at it, well...
You're a fool if you think I'll do this.
I'll think much more than that if you turn away. Especially if you read the case notes. You might find the name of my regente interesting.
Razatov.
You two were acquainted, were you not?
Anything else?
Only that you are to breathe no word whatsoever to anyone else regarding this case. Everything else you need is in those notes. Arm yourself in the Hall of Bearings. Then see what you can find. His office in the East Wing is probably a good place to start. That is all.
Huh. Interesting. Let's check this out. Avestus Illarme. There are few as calculative as Avestus Illarme. Certainly I do not look to him to learn anything regarding matters of ethics of the heart or of the heart. When it comes to being efficient and objective, I consider him a master. I'd like to say that he hasn't always been this way, and then I'd proceed to tell you of a tragic tale that made his heart so callous. But to do so would require me to fabricate a lie, for all the time I have known him, which amounts to be a fair bit, he has always put the welfare of the city and the registry above everything else, his personal affairs included. Yes, there is certainly something about his doggedness to be admired, but I do wonder how much it's cost him. I know he has given up much, but on the outside, he shows little remorse or regret. How much that is true on the inside, however, I have not gleaned. The Varone. The Varone of Ombre is perhaps the most famous, if not respected, figure in the nation. As the leader of the registry, with an abode sitting at the tip of the White Spire, the entire city falls under their gaze. The influence that a Varone had over the city was in times past unparalleled, but with the rise to power of the guilds, that influence has begun to wane somewhat. So we have a mystery to solve. Interesting. I really... Okay, let's do Razatov Arzuris. Razatov Arzuris. Never in my wildest imagination had I ever thought that my relationship with the bespectacled friend of mine would turn out the way it did. Quiet and reserved, Razatov and I had first met in the Consosenza, while I had been preparing for the dreadful This Italian stuff is going to kill me. It is my least favorite of all the media. Most things I learned on the streets, not between the pages of a book. Razatov, however, was quite the opposite. A lover of histories and theorems, initially I could not stand his presence. Facts and postulations seemed to bleed forth from every inch of his being, from his head right down to the ends of his boots. He'd seemed me struggling with the calculus section of the paper I'd been working on in one of the deeper, more isolated sections of the Conscienza. I was preparing, attempting to at least for my Acredita the following day, and he could barely keep to himself. You need to use Raderick's theorems for that. His voice was thin, reed-like, and left the silence of the Conscienza quite untouched. Excuse me, I said, turning to my left where he sat, the image to this day I recall with perfection. A soft hat, far too large for his head, small spectacles perched atop his thin nose. He pulled back slightly. Perhaps I'd spoken too loudly, offended the silence that he might have found sacred. He said, even softer than before, Raderick's theorem. Raderick's theorem, what did he think I was, a scholar? Here, he said, inching a little closer before coming to a stop. He held his hand, it quivered a little, if I may. Be my guest, I said, pushing over my quill and my papers to him. Now, he said. He began to explain the process to solve the question. I couldn't repeat the steps to you now if I tried, but enough of that technique stayed in my mind that it passed the section of the Acredita the day after. What surprised me even more, though, was that he'd come for the ceremony that evening. He sought me out after it ended. Cicero, he said from behind, just as I was leaving the hall. I turned and recognized him immediately. Razatov, what are you doing here? I came to see how you did, replied. He wrung his hands. I found that curious. Why would he care? I did fine, I passed, I replied, still somewhat wary. What did he want of me? Oh, he said, he breathed out, clearly relieved. Excellent news, just excellence. Why? I asked, frowning. Why excellent? Why not? I was hoping you'd do well, see? I know it might sound selfish, but I was hoping that I'd been good enough tutor last night, and here you are passing. I was so worried about it when you told me your Acredita was today. With your calculus at that standard ages, did you need help? All right, and now you've done fantastic. I knew you could do it, just did. And that was the moment that I began to believe that beneath the blustering exterior, behind all those books and theorems and ideas, lay the heart among the most sincere I would come to know. And that belief has proven true time and time again. And now he's missing. Now, for perhaps the first time in my life, I'm in a position to help him, not the other way around. I have to help find him. Okay, check my journal. Name of subject, Razatov Arzius, 39, Regente, 29th Pica, Ufina Triana. On the 39th of Ruvida, 407, Regente Razutov Azros was tasked with elucidating the methods through which the Mascherines were created. He was appointed to this task by Verona Vestas Alarme. On the 43rd of Ruvida, he submitted his first update to the Verone concerning his findings. In it, he writes that he believed that for something as core to the Dimenticate civilization as Mascherines, there must be an anthropological evidence regarding their existence and creation that he can find through detailed study of the Dimenticate history. He continues on writing that a visit to the Consentia must be paid. He's sure to find what he needs there. A loose sheet was found with his report reveals what specifically he was in search for. Books that talk about the Dimenticate and power, about wielding immense power, creating power, using it to expand, or anything that remotely smacks of strength or supremacy. These are good places to start. I'll head to the Conscienza tomorrow to speak with Carrie. Update 30th. Carrie has said that Razatov never approached her for assistance. None of the Vegulists that I have spoken to have seen him around in the past month. He must have either done his work in secrecy or never followed up on his original plan. Tomorrow I intend to return to the Conscienza, following his leads to bring me closer to the current whereabouts I am certain. The investigation has been handed over to Corvus, and Ofina's corpse was found in her room at approximately dusk on the 33rd of Pica. Investigation has taken a darker turn, ages forbid, and is growing steadily. Vestas has told me to focus on Razatov and to do so quietly. Whoever did that to Ofina is still out there. I do not know how well I will sleep at night knowing these halls are not safe, but the Verone has reminded me that if someone was out to stop us from finding Razatov, it must mean that he knows something. Vestas believes that finding the Regente is of higher priority than identifying Ofina's murderer. If I can find both along the way, that'd be ideal, but ages, I'll be the first to admit that I might have been put in waters too deep for me. I have spoken to Lucia and warned her about the treachery. If Ofina was a target, then none of us are safe. Darius, Pasha, and Riva aren't in the city at the moment, and for their sakes I'm glad. Damn it, where is Cicero when you need him? No matter, I must focus. Tomorrow I will check Razatov's office. I think a prudent place to begin. At least it is in my poor friend's bloody... It isn't in my poor friend's bloody footprints. I hope she gets a good song. Nothing in his office. Clearly doubled his living quarters as he holed up himself in there for quite some time, or at least planned to, but there's something amiss. Nothing amiss. But then again, something didn't quite feel right when I was there. In fact, something hasn't quite felt right since I started this investigation. Silent songs. The others always mock my superstitious ways, but how can I deny a feeling so strong? I cannot put my finger on it, but I can swear by the ages that I am being watched. If anything is to happen to me, and if this case somehow falls into someone else's hands, know that I advise caution. Lucia, if that next person is you, songs, get out of here while you still can. Tomorrow I plan to figure out what exactly has been causing the hairs on my neck to rise. Once I deal with that, I'll be better able to focus on the task at hand. The remains of Inspector Corvus's body have been found in his personal residence in the Dimway. The investigation is pending action. A letter has been sent to the Cavalli Field summoning former Inspector Cicero Gavar back to Ombre. The investigation has been handed over to me. This is a little disturbing. A little.
Survived the trial, I see.
Barely. The bastard's still as oily as ever.
Careful. Walls have ears. So, was I right?
This is about the Regenti that's gone missing. Razatov.
That's the one? Didn't he...
Saved my life. Yes. Avestus used that against me.
So now you're on the case, too.
Any advice, then?
Just... try not to die. We've lost enough inspectores as is.
You can bet on that. Now, I need to read these notes first. Then to the Hall of Bearings for a Masquerine. Still have time to accompany an old friend?
Why not?
Alright, let us head off. Well, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to wrap it up here. We have a mystery to solve. I'm really liking this game. I don't know how... so far the combat is sort of to me, but I'm really enjoying the story and the mystery, and I'm kind of looking forward to trying to find the Regente and how we make Mascherines. So if you've been enjoying this series so far, don't forget to hit that like button as it helps me out a lot. And until next time,